once we see that in the corner, and you guys should be up. So I'm going to mute out and chime out, and you guys can have at it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, the reason for the meeting is
I have a question though. Why does it say we're recording live on YouTube? We're streaming live on YouTube.
this is a public meeting.
Why is it a public meeting?
It's because it's admin.
I thought it was SIR.
No, admin.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I was confused.
Now, the admin, there's just really one piece of, SIR was canceled. Admin, we had to meet, and we're just gonna have one point of discussion. That's on the amendments for discussion on the deconversion legislation.
Okay.
Those, they're very minor amendments, but based on the process, admin has to do a cursory review.
Okay, that's right. I was confused. I saw SIR, but that must have been the cancellation notice.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So everybody has received a copy of the amended the ordinance as amended proposal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So primarily the change is just expanding the geographical area. Currently the ordinance has been in play about 2 or 3 years. We've had one applicant, and the application came in for a former doctor's office on Union Avenue that's being converted back to a single family dwelling. In the original ordinance, the geographic area was limited to Union Avenue and Washington Street, and then each side street about a block in each direction. So on Union, it would be the 400 and 500 block of like Lafayette, Alliance, Giles, so on and so forth. And on the Washington, the same thing. So you'd catch the entire Washington Street, and then you would catch the 300 and 400 blocks there. And the idea was to have some incentive to homeowners or to property owners to be able to purchase these residences and bring them back to their original single family intent. So I spoke with George and in a conversation with Shane, and proposed to Councilman Ringsacker and the council president that maybe we should look at expanding this area and then kind of go from there. And we kind of tossed around the geographic locations that we would like to include. And then at the end of the day, we just selected that if we took Juniata Street and on Juniata Street from virtually like 155 Superior Street where it comes down, which was about the city boundary on the north, all the way to the Chesapeake Bay when we get down to Commerce Street, and then easterly toward the river. So virtually grabbing everything from Juniata Street to the river, boundary to boundary. On Juniata Street, however, we also wanted to include the 900 blocks of Erie, Ontario, and Otsego. And those were really the only streets on Juniata on, I guess it would be the western side that we wanted to pull in. Yes,
Is that the 800 block or 900 block?
Yes,
I'm sorry. I said if I said 900, I meant the 800 block.
Okay.
Okay.
Everything on this side.
Yeah. Yeah, virtually on this side of Route 40. Sorry about that. So
No problem.
So that's what this proposal includes with the geographic locations, and it's spelled out in 99-3 under eligibility. Now, the other thing in my conversations with George was, and the true intent, because I was one of the authors of this thing back when I was on council, and the intent was to give a rebate back. So we can't give a property tax abatement per se. But what we would do is you follow the application process, which is part of the standard, which is not changing, Exhibit C. And then that would ensure reliability as to what it once was, and then also the process in order to be eligible for the incentive. And then an annual review by the planning and or finance department to make sure that it still qualifies. So we don't want these conversions to occur and then they flip back to a multifamily and then we're still paying the incentive. So those checks and balances are in place. But what we didn't want to occur was if somebody came in and converted the unit back into a single family and the conversion cost was less than what the incentive was, that really wasn't the intent either. So there's language that's added in section, I believe it's section 90.
99.3,
Yes.
69 through 72.
Yes, there you go. And that just captures and says, one, you can't get a rebate in any single year that's the rebate's more than the property tax for the city of Havre de Grace. So if the property taxes are $1,300 and the rebate was $2,000, you would only get $1,300. Or when you're filling out the compliance document in Exhibit C, if in the permitting process, if the overall cost of the renovation is less than $7,000, then you would be prorated throughout the years for that total amount. Are you following me on that? That was really the only unintended consequence, I think, from the first draft of this document. But as we were kind of going back through the document with the idea of expanding the geographic area, then those couple things came into play. And truly, other than what I just described, and then each of the associated exhibits will require changes, Exhibit A and Exhibit B, that's about it. So it's not a huge change, but in the sense of what we're trying to accomplish, it is a huge change in the sense of the geographic area that we can now offer this to. And we can capture areas like the 800 block of Erie Street, Erie Street and the 700 block, 600 and 700 blocks of Ontario Street, where there's been over the years sort of an exodus of this single family, the original single family homes into multifamily dwellings. And in some of those areas, in Green Street's another great example, where we have the multifamily changeover now causes some hardship within the neighborhood with parking and that sort of thing. So this would alleviate some of that as well. That was really discussed on the first go around with the original intent of the ordinance.
Right.
So that's it for me. I'm just interested in everybody's input on what the accomplishment or what we're trying to accomplish with this, and whether we should move this forward into the planning group.
I think it has the same concept as it did back in January of 2018. It's just we're trying to expand the boundaries a little bit and trying to get more participation, if at all possible. So I mean, it looks good to me. I mean, I don't see any major issues or changes.
Yeah, Steve, I'm sorry, Dave. I don't mean to cut you off.
All right, that's fine.
I was
I'm
just,
good.
I've been a proponent of this ever since you first brought it up to the dais a few years back. I love the idea of expanding it, especially considering all the multifamilies that are on the other side of the city. I would just encourage maybe a little more public awareness of the program once we expand it, and maybe bring in some of the local realtors and explain the program to them a little bit. So if they're showing potential clients some of these multifamilies, that they know what incentives exist.
Yep, all great points. I think we can do them. We need to do a better job marketing it, because there's few incentives the city offers. And here's one of them, that we've got one participant, almost one participant, not quite. The other piece that we did add in here that I forgot to mention is annually, and the beauty of this is people have to apply for it. So then it gives council and the administration the opportunity to fund it, to forward fund it. So it just doesn't kind of spring up on the financial, the budget side of the city. So if for some reason there is some sort of financial constraints that the city comes under, then each year the city has the opportunity to lower fund it if necessary.
Right.
So that's
spelled out, I think, on page 3, 89 and 90. So we have the right to either lower fund or even terminate it if it's going to provide unseen financial hardship to the city.
Yeah, and we really didn't think about that the last time. And what really made us think about this time was COVID.
Absolutely.
If we got into some sort of major financial crunch where we wouldn't be able to fund this, then it would be, on the front end, on the application side, the applicant knows that, and it's in writing. So,
Steve, when I look at 99-5, it says reserves the right to terminate at line 89 and 90, but where does it say or temporarily suspend payment? Like, I think we need to be clear if we're going to do one or the other, or if we're just going to terminate. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, well, did you think it would hurt to say both?
Yeah, I think it would help to say both, because that
Okay.
leaves it in the city's discretion.
Okay.
To suspend or terminate? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yeah, I would include the word suspend,
Okay.
to suspend or terminate.
Okay. Good point.
Now the other thing, Steve, to think about is, we said suspend or terminate. Do we want to even consider defunding? I mean, maybe it's not the 7,000 for a 5-year program. Maybe it's something less than that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Well, that would have to, April, would that have to take an amendment? You're muted.
I would just add suspend, terminate, or modify the program.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say make any adjustments necessary.
And I also wouldn't necessarily limit it to citywide financial hardship. I would add, or any other reason deemed pertinent by the city council. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily limit it to citywide financial hardship.
Okay.
So I would add at the end there, or any other reason. And I think that should be determined at a city council meeting. So some reason determined by city council.
Hey, April, couldn't it be just as easy as striking based on unforeseen citywide financial hardships, and then just leaving it an open statement? The mayor and city council reserve the right to suspend, terminate, or modify the program in any given budget year.
Yeah, I think that makes it easier.
And that's what I'm saying, just strike based on unforeseen citywide, rather than try to expand it.
Yep.
Just delete it.
Yeah, I think that's more clear.
Okay. Sounds good.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Now the plan is to get this. Is Jimmy taking this to the planning committee or planning commission?
No, planning committee. He's taking it to the planning committee. And then once, based on, if they have no heartburn with it, then the next step would be get it in final format, run it by April, and then put it in the read file.
What, so what's the rationale behind doing forward funding versus the credit?
So on the forward fund, so what this does is allows the city each year to look at their budget, because people are going to be applying for this. And the application process, so they come in and apply, and then we have the opportunity as the administration and council that actually put that line item in the budget each year. So
Yeah, and I remember we talked about like limiting it, right? It would be limited to like 5 applicants per year or something like that.
yeah, but you know, we may have a good year where we have 10 people come in, and we can look at the ability to forward fund that for the next 5 years, whether that's going to be a hardship on the city or not. You know what I mean? So we get to look at it every year.
Yeah, I guess
Right.
what I'm wondering is why it, you know, why we're talking about giving folks the, you know, like the funds instead of making it like not necessarily a rebate or an abatement, but almost like foregoing, you know, your tax payment for those years up until a certain amount. I mean, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, I guess, but
Yeah.
this seems kind of odd that a person would be paying the city and then receiving a credit.
Yeah, we have, Councilman, we have to do it that way. We can't give a tax credit. It has to go through the books. It has to come into the city, and then we rebate it back. Anything other than that, we have to go to the General Assembly for approval.
Right, I was
Okay.
gonna add, yeah, usually when the tax scenario that you mentioned, Jason, that's usually we have some flexibility to work that way when properties are getting annexed. But once they're annexed and on the tax rolls, we really can't do that.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, that's kind of like the way a TIF works. To your point, April, you know, with the
Mhm.
annexation. So, just a question, guys.
Okay. Anything else?
I think it looks good. I think good comments by Dave and Jason, and I think we get this thing moving forward.
Sounds good. Patrick, you got anything? No, sir. No? All right. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks for everybody joining in.
You guys. Bye.
See ya.